Welcome in, gang. Coach, super pumped to have you. Got a lot of fun connections in this one. We're doing a full Super Bowl prediction with exact score and everything. Coach doesn't usually make that type of prediction, but he feels like he's got a pretty good read. So, obviously, we believe the Rams are finally getting back on the Patriots with the 3 match. They previously lost Super Bowl 36 to the Patriots after winning Super Bowl 34 over the Titans, and then proceeded to lose to the Patriots again in their bounce-back season after Brady lost to Foles. Okay, so this would be them finally getting back on the Patriots. Now, man, there's a lot of weird stuff, so it's hard to even think like where to start. So let's start with how the Super Bowl goes down, how it shakes out. So Coach can't tell you anything about the first 4 quarters. Well, I guess I can, now that I think about it. So it's going to end in a tie at the end of regulation, 28-28. I guess they both got 4 touchdowns apiece. And the Rams win the coin toss, elect to kick to the Patriots. Drake May goes right down and scores a touchdown. This is where it gets a tiny bit tricky, but I believe the Patriots missed that extra point. Okay? So they missed that extra point, threw up 34-28. Most everybody watching the Super Bowl is going to think the game's over. They don't know they added that new rule this year that we just saw hose the Rams a few weeks ago against the Seahawks. Right? It's basically going to be that same deal, but a tiny little twist on it. Okay? So the Patriots are up 6. Of course, the Rams got to score a touchdown to stay alive. Well, Stafford goes down and he scores, but instead of just being able to kick the extra point to win it, they've got that goofy rule to where the second team has to go for 2, right? So the rule that's supposed to ensure overtime doesn't end in a tie to lead to a second overtime, blah, 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 would in fact be possibly resulting in a tie because they could just kick the extra point to go ahead, but instead they got to go for 2. If they miss, we're looking at another overtime, right? Well, Stafford and company, they get the 2-point conversion. They win it 36-34, just like their 36 Super Bowl loss and like their 34 Super Bowl win over the Titans. So that's Coach's prediction there. We've got a lot more to it. Now, the Super Bowl is on February 8th. Matt Stafford's birthday is the day before. What do you know? Same day as Shedeur Sanders. Do you want to sit and think for 5 seconds about what an insane coincidence that is? Do you know how astronomical? Like, this alone proves your whole league is fake. Like, you don't even understand, like, how ridiculous of a coincidence this is. Okay, so take any 2 players at random, right? Like in the NFL. What are the odds they're going to be on the same, like at the same position, okay, same birthday, and both teams they play for having originated in the same city, right? So you got the Cleveland Rams starting quarterback and the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback with the exact same birthday. You're looking at a 1 in 365.25 chance to start. That's before you account for how many positions there are, okay? Which, just starting positions, if you include like kicker and long snapper, you're looking at 24. And then you account for the fact they're starters, right? That's at least 3 deep at the QB position, let alone all the others. So let's multiply it by another 3. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Like, that alone is garbage. You're an idiot if you think that's a fucking coincidence. Okay, like straight up. They both happen to be the day before the Super Bowl. I got them going back to back. All right. Anyways, well, who's telling you this? Do I have any credibility? Oh, I'm only the guy who told you the Eagles were going to beat the Chiefs last year with a Cooper DeJean anytime interception touchdown, which they tell you still doesn't feel real because it wasn't. I told you it was fake and it would happen because it's fake. I had no idea. It was the first time it ever happened in NFL history. Coach gave you a prediction of the first time in NFL history a birthday player fucking scored a touchdown on their birthday the same year. Coach gave you a perfect UFL bracket with upsets the whole way, knocking off a team that three-peated, and I gave you Ohio State National Championship before the playoffs even started, and we told you they had to lose to Michigan first. Don't listen to me, right? So let's move on. Terrence Hill and Bud Spencer. This is like some classic comedy duo, kind of like Three Stooges, Abbott Costello type deal. Bigger in Europe than in the U.S. But Terrence Hill and Bud Spencer, that's a lot like Terrence Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. So once again, Terrence Bud and Spence, like Terrence Hill and Bud Spencer. Okay, pretty damn close. They're talking about Kaepernick coming back and playing for the Chiefs. He probably will. Okay, they're talking about the Chiefs leaving Missouri, like the Rams left Missouri. We got the Rams winning the Super Bowl. They probably will. Okay, or they'll at least have some there's going to be something that makes you think of Cleveland. And to me, a move is perfect. Just move them to Kansas. What do you know? We got Joel Embiid, Kansas's biggest star in the NBA, winning his first championship. Okay, and here's BetMGM telling you to be legendary. Or what is it? Oh, let's see. Make it legendary, right? Shador tells you to be legendary. Danny James Amendola. So Daniel James, of course, like James Harden, LeBron James, Daniel Jones, right? So he happened to be with the Rams and the Patriots and later went on with the Lions. That's very interesting. Here's Lobo telling you that the Chiefs are set to leave, blah, blah, blah. He's not my favorite source, but it's not the very worst either. But they're still going to take a dive at the very end and tell you it's the Chiefs winning or whatever horseshit like last year. Ben Johnson. Of course, the Steelers had first dibs on Ben Johnson, the home of Ben Roethlisberger. Did you know another Ben scored a touchdown on Ben Roethlisberger when they faced off against the Cardinals? Now, we've also got some Hogans, right? So Chris Hogan was a Patriots teammate of Tom Brady's, won a couple Super Bowls, named his kid Peyton. And, of course, we have Hulk Hogan, who just died and said, we're riding the Campbell Mania train to Super Bowl, brother. Right? So there's your Ben joke. Of course, the Steelers famously rode the bus to Detroit for their Super Bowl, their win one for the thumb. Someone in the comments was kind enough to point out that Kevin Hart, who we know is a Philly guy, who is suspiciously in Toronto right now, he was on some sort of conference call here with none other than Tom Brady. Who else was on the call? Deion Sanders, Shador's dad. So on this call, Kevin Hart decides to make a joke to Tom Brady saying, you're not really the GOAT until you win one with Detroit. Now, it's hard for Coach to even go into this, but Coach gets really frustrated because people will make the defense always oh, he's joking. It's a joke. My argument is, well, that's really odd because Kevin Hart's actually funny. So why was that joke so weak and why did it fall so flat and nobody thought it was funny? And Detroit's not the only horseshit team that's never won a fucking Super Bowl. Why didn't he bring up the Brownies? Why didn't he bring up the Cardinals, which are way more fucking cursed? The Browns have 8 championships since the Cardinals won, but we're not going to talk about that. Okay, so we talked about Harper a lot. We got, let's see, we had a whole bunch of them. Okay, of course we had the Clippers and the Lakers, Harper, the guy that also played for the Bulls, Ronald Harper, Ronald the Clown. And, of course, we got Bryce Harper. So keep an eye on those Phillies. Coach might be selling a bit short. He was hot on them before. Might not have been a real good reason to cool off on them. I'd keep an eye. Now, looking at the championship, Coach was like, we think it might be Sixers-Clippers or Sixers-Lakers. Well, that's weird. They all end in ers. I wonder how many of those teams there are. Well, there's the Knickerbockers, okay, the Blazers, and the Thunder. Well, what do you know? Last year in the championship, we just had the Pacers and the Thunder. So now, we might be looking at the Sixers and the Clippers. What evidence is there of that? Well, this same millennium, we had the Clippers and the Lakers. And we just might at some point get the Knicks and the Blazers. So keep an eye out for that one down the line. Just saying. Peyton Manning doing one of his episodes on Kurt Warner, right? Talking about bad groceries, blah, blah, blah. The Lions, they're toast. They're not actually eliminated from the playoffs, but I realize their last game of the season is against the Bears. There's no reason for them to win that. I think Ben Johnson knocks out his former team, right? And they feel like they need some help at offensive coordinator. They could get a Doug Peterson. there was another quarterback who just said they wanted to go into coaching. I was like, oh, that would be perfect. For some reason, I can't think of it now. Anyway, you get it. Oh, hey, so here's a coach, Anthony Sparano, not to be confused with Anthony Soprano. And then they got some sort of weird ritual here with Jake Paul and Andrew Tate doing the bitch crawl on their knees at another man's waistline. That's not a good look. So Julian Edelman and Ben Simmons happen to have the same trainer. That's pretty weird. We got the Patriots and the Sixers popping up in the championship the same year. Edelman, coach had coming to coach the Browns in some capacity. Maybe wide receivers coach. What do you know? I had no idea. He played college ball in Ohio at the same team as Josh Cribbs. And when he came into the NFL, his player comparison was Josh Cribbs because they both transitioned from dual threat quarterbacks. So he probably has a very high IQ and could be a very good coach. Now, let's see. Steelers, DK Metcalf takes a swing at a Lions fan. So he got suspended for a couple of games. Once again, they took the bus to Detroit. All right, so just some basically typical Tomlin doesn't have his team on a leash, right? They're doing dumb shit that might cost them big in the postseason. They just got their winning season, so they don't need to win a single game more the rest of the year, so keep an eye on them. So we've got Jared Allen Cook, who's dating Jared Lana Cook. Allen and Lana, huh? That's nice. And here's his lovely bride. You can tell she's definitely not in the club. Let's keep it real. That's just a normal person doing a normal post. And here's Brandon Cooks, whose teammates or is on the same team as James Cook. Right? They're both Patriots. Right now Brandon's on the Bills. And James Cook's on the Bills. So yeah, they're hooking up on the Bills. But Brandon used to be a Patriot. Coach just had a weird that's a Raven moment in his head for no reason because he was like, sometimes he'll just start like really hating a specific fake bullshit celebrity persona for no fucking reason. And like one that has gotten under his nerves forever is Ariana Grande. Like she's just so fucking insufferable. Like they literally showed her like licking fucking pastries at a bakery and some shit. And you're supposed to like take her seriously. Like she's some sort of role model. Right? She's just a big fucking clown. Right? And she has absolutely no talent. All her music's fucking god-awful. She's fucking hideous. Right? They always make her look like a bigger clown than before, and you gotta act like she's somehow gorgeous. And, like, she's always on the verge of tears. Like, everything she says is so emotional and important. She's so self-important. She gets all this fucking credit for, like, Mac Miller dying. Like, didn't she already leave him? They weren't even fucking together. So, anyway, so Coach was just like, God, I can't fucking stand this bitch. So I was going to do a big fucking thing on how obnoxious Ariana Grande is. But then I realized, like, oh, this is just Alba. I was like, that's Alba from Idle Hands. Because I used to watch that movie all the time. So it's no doubter that's Alba. They even do their hair the same. So I thought that was very interesting. Andy Dalton and Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid makes Coach think of Thomas Kincaid. I don't have a lot there. We're moving on. Nick Bosa's got a super obnoxious new model girlfriend. I cannot stand this bitch. She'd be perfect to come and do some really annoying shit with Taylor Swift in Cleveland. I'm all for it. I mean, God. Like, okay, I just want to do like a side rant about like our, in quotes, culture. Right? So like, isn't it amazing like that this is like the ideal model? Right? Like who thinks this is attractive? Who gravitates to this? Who wants the most fraudulent, like whatever? Like to me, the best model in the world would be someone you didn't even know was modeling, right? Like, oh, I just thought that was a nice picture she took, right? Or someone took, I didn't even know she knew she was in the picture, right? But in our backwards ass clown world, the best model is the one who like breaks the magic the most and just does the absolute most. And like they're never even attractive or have any sort of like distinguishable characteristics. Somehow models can never get cameras that actually capture finer details, right? And they always like chalk it up to Photoshop or some dumb shit. But anyways, we're moving on. Anyways, Miles Harden, he's on the Brownies. We already talked about him. Coach thinks it's interesting with James Harden being a heel. Derrick Henry, so King Henry. The Ravens could have just handed it to Henry. They end up blowing the game in a way that could definitely get Harbaugh fired. And Lamar ended up getting hurt too. Some ridiculous fucking spam mail. That we're on my video? No, we're still good. Okay. So Quinshaw Judkins dislocated his ankle and fractured his fibula. Okay, so I think it's very interesting. Fibula starts with fib. I wonder if that's like a fake bone or something, right? Like, but anyways, he's big toast, at least for this year, right? So coach is thinking maybe Raheem Sanders steps up and has a bigger role. That'd be nice. Coach was thinking about how Tommy DeVito and Daniel Jones were teammates, right? So Daniel Jones just happens to go from the Giants to the Colts, right? What do you know, from Eli's team to Peyton's team. And we think Peyton's coming back for the Broncos. Like, that's interesting, right? But so Tommy DeVito and Daniel Jones on the same team, right? So it's a Danny DeVito joke. Coach thinks if Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger go down in the same year, it's probably a clue the Minnesota Twins are going to win the World Series. There's also another Tommy DeVito, who was the singer for the Four Seasons. Harold Fannin Jr. caught a touchdown pass celebrated with the 6-7 meme because it was a 67th catch, which just, of course, happened to break a record. Coach is thinking about Ronnie James Dio, a.k.a. Bronny James Dio. So Bronny James replaced Ozzy in Black Sabbath and died at 67. Adam Matthew Vinatieri, so went from the Patriots to the Colts, right, from Brady's to Peyton's team. Middle name Matthew. We think Matthew Stafford beats the Patriots this year. It seems like a nice little har-har. Thinking about like Vrabel and Belichick. So Belichick coached up Vrabel. Vrabel becomes head coach for the Titans. When he was with the Titans, he actually ended like Belichick's postseason run, basically. So that combined with the Patriots being really good and him coaching Belichick's former team, like he's like the perfect person for Belichick to want to get back at, you know, in a way while still keeping it like respectable and respectful, right? But you would still think like a former Bill Belichick like player or whatever, you would think that he would have turned that position down. That's just me. You know, you already had a head coaching job. Like, why take the Patriots job specifically? It seems weird, right? So, Sebastian. So we got Sebastian popping up. He's a Patriot. Rock 76. He's German. We've had a lot of German shit going on with the NFL, with the Lions announcing their pick in German. Blah blah blah. Mark Bolger he replaced Kurt Warner. I thought it was interesting. He backed up Joe Flacco. This one's more interesting, though. So, Drew Luck replaces Peyton Manning just like Tom Brady replaced Drew Bledsoe. Okay, and even in Michigan, Brady couldn't see the field because of Drew Daniel Henson, no less. Ooh. Right, so Commanders' defense exploited by bunch formations. Isn't that interesting? The Lions running bunch formations, and we think Tom Brady's going there. Is that a Brady Bunch joke? Okay, just so you know, the quarterback I got Goff replacing, QB, so Brady replacing Goff. They grew up an hour apart, dude. Hour and 3-minute drive. Isn't that a little weird? Kurt Benkert is making headlines for starting basically some Madden beef with other YouTubers like Soft Drink TV. Of course, Kurt Benkert, definitely some sort of fake stage name. He was never was. SNL ran a sketch about Charlie Brown, and they had a bunch of their actors play roles. Right? You had one be Al Pacino, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Edie Falco, very on the money. Martin Short playing Larry David. Kenan Thompson playing Forrest Whitaker. Right? This cat playing Michael Keaton. If you know, you know. Right? Coach won't expand too much. He appreciates you.